So today we're going to be looking at the first figure from DC Universe Classics Wave 13, and that's going to be Negative Man. And yes, I finally managed to get this set, bought it off a Big Bad Toy Store. Negative Man is part of the Doom Patrol and first appears in My Greatest Adventure number 80 in 1963. It's a pretty standard use of the sculpt body pieces for the DC Universe Classics figures, with the exception of the hands, the head, and the belt. Of course, the belt has the big D for Doom Patrol. His hands and head have bandages. The paint is fairly clean. There's this one blemish here. Looks like somebody had a fingerprint or something right there and touched the figure when the paint was wet. But other than that, you get some nice shading in here. I do wish they would have had detailed the little gaps to define between the bandages, just to define it a little bit better. But it's alright. Maybe a little bit darker around the mouth and the eyes too, just to make it, give it a little bit more pop. It's a little bit too gray for me. Let's see, for accessories, he comes with the piece of the Build-A-Figure of Trigon and the pin. Here's the pin. I believe this is from a Brave and the Bold, which featured Batman and the Doom Patrol. The head moves side to side, of course, a little bit up and down, which is pretty nice. Just get a little bit of posability there. Arms all the way around, out and in, rotate at the bicep, bend at the elbow, rotate at the wrist. Ab articulation, waist articulation, legs forward, back, out and in, rotate at the thigh, bend at the knee, bend at the ankle. All pretty standard DC Universe Classics articulation. A very good, solid figure, and it really bodes well for the rest. This one has got good, nice joints that aren't too tight or too loose. So, nice quality on there. Now, a little bit about the character. Of course, he was in the Doom Patrol, and all the Doom Patrol characters, they all are products of accidents and have these bizarre transformations that really kind of make them outsiders and outcasts among what we would say ordinary people. So they really find camaraderie in each other. And Larry Trainor, his background was that he was a test pilot, and he was exposed to a radioactive field in the atmosphere when the plane that he was testing flew through it. And he survives this exposure, but it leaves him radioactive. His whole body is radioactive, so he has to wrap himself in these specially treated bandages to protect everyone else from his radioactivity. He also develops the ability to create this energy being that kind of resembles a human shadow, and that is termed either the Negative Man or the Negative Spirit. Sometimes the energy comes out of his body and he collapses basically into a sleep type thing, and remains in control of this energy being. However, he risks dying if he remains outside of the body for more than 60 seconds at a time. So he can, after 60 seconds, the energy being will have to return to the host body, and then he can come out again almost immediately, but has to return within another 60 seconds. Now, he has pushed it a couple of times before, but to be on the safe side, there's that 60 second sort of time limit, which I guess makes for a pretty good drama during an adventure. Will he get back in time? The Doom Patrol was never a hit back in the 60s, but the last issue in which the Doom Patrol all died or they were thought to have died, protecting a small village up in Maine, I believe, of only like 14 people. It's a story that's really resonated with a lot of creators, and even to today. They just did a nice issue of DC Universe Legacies, and so that's really become one of the cornerstone events of the DC Universe. Now, they were thought to have died, but they really didn't. And what happened with him is that the energy being actually became separate from him when used a woman, actually a Russian cosmonaut, Colonel Valentina Vostok, as a host, and she became the negative woman. Trainer remained alive, but still had his radiation problem, so he still had to wear the bandages, but he no longer had the negative man powers. Briefly, during Grant Morrison's run on the Doom Patrol in the mid-80s, the negative man energy, Larry Trainer, and a third person, Dr. Poole, all merged to become the being known as Rebus. Don't ask me to explain too much about it, because I really didn't read the Morrison run, I just know of it. And then the Doom Patrol kind of faded out for a while, until when John Byrne did tried to start a revival, and it was mildly successful. Really, what plagued that was that Byrne introduced some new characters that were not the real Doom, the classic Doom Patrol. So, and the stories focused more on them than the classic Doom Patrol, and I think people wanted more of the classic Doom Patrol. So, for a while, they had like 4 or 5, 3, 4 reboots and different teams. Well, along comes Infinite Crisis and says, yes, all those things happened, and yet they didn't really happen at the same time because of the time manipulation that was going on by Alexander Luthor and Superboy Prime. All the weirdness, like Rebus, was explained away as Calder's attempts. That's Niles Calder is the founder and gathered all the members of the Doom Patrol together, and so it was all explained as Calder's attempts to control the negative man entity. it went on to explain that Larry Trainor, the real Larry Trainor, had died when he was exposed to the radiation all those years ago, but the energy entity that was created just had all of Trainor's memories. And so Calder was actually treating dead bodies, doctoring them up with the original Trainor's DNA, so that the entity created this illusion that it was still the original Trainor, but it's used successive bodies of brain dead people. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I never really, I don't like this new sort of like mad scientist Niles Calder that is doing all this evil stuff to keep the members of the Doom Patrol, and it just doesn't appeal to me. I'd much rather have them again have given the ultimate sacrifice all those years ago, just for 14 people, and it's really one of the truly heroic moments in comics. If you can track down the story, it is a 60s story, so it is still kind of hokey, the dialogue and stuff, but it's a really good story. There is a variant on this figure with the bandages open on the face, and you can glance his sort of radioactive features. Unfortunately, you will not see a review of that figure. So anyway, I guess that's it. That does it for the Negative Man, the second member of the Doom Patrol that we have. He joins Robot Man. Stay tuned for my next review, which will be Superboy in his original costume. Until then, see ya.